How the LGBTQ movement is helping the growth and evolution of the human species and our eternal souls. A Spiritual Perspective, Part 5 of 6. Dehumanization of people as a manipulative method for control. Whether we realize it or not, most of us are guilty of manipulating someone at some point, whether we were consciously doing so or just following our conditioning. After all, the examples we see are what we end up emulating, and oftentimes we human beings are not self-aware or mindful of others, which can inadvertently cause emotional suffering within us as well as those around us. However, awareness brings with it a sudden realization that maybe we should be treating each other better on many different levels. Maybe people will begin to open up their hearts and ask questions rather than just going with whatever someone else says. The dehumanizing labels people put on each other, whether this is coming from groups of people or individuals, are damaging. It's up to each of us individually to choose to stop and revise our own behaviors. Understanding what dehumanizing someone actually looks like and what it means can help you begin to also understand the energetic effect you may be having on others and how that can actually attract more undesirable experiences into your life. Information is light. Ignorance is darkness. Here's an incredible definition I found for dehumanization. The basic definition of dehumanization is to deny human treatment to someone and give them subhuman treatment. Such treatment can be doled out to an individual or a group. The offender can be a single person or a group that victimizes fellow humans. The individuality of the victims is ignored, and so are the highly developed cognitive abilities mentioned earlier. Along with these, the victims are shown no compassion. They have to face violence and oppression and are subjected to various cruelties and indignities. One of the types of dehumanization is animalistic, where the victims are denied any association to unique human traits and perceived as non-human animals. Mechanistic dehumanization is another type of dehumanization, wherein the victims are completely denied any human attributes and in doing so compared with machines. In both types, the oppressed group is denied of any and all the moral standards that are applicable to human beings. It takes away the freedom of the oppressed in an unfair and inhumane manner. To read the source for this material, please click the link in the description. When it comes to dehumanization or demonizing someone for being themselves, this can happen on many levels and in many different ways. Anytime I showed interest in a belief system outside of Catholicism, I was accused of being possessed by a demon, and of course anyone who had those beliefs and opinions was also possessed by a demon and not to be trusted. This was more often implied than stated flat out. Narcissists aren't typically very straightforward. They will often say one thing but actually mean the opposite, or they just change their values based on their moods so that nothing you do or say is ever okay, which creates cognitive dissonance and a feeling of walking on eggshells around this person. But it was implied a lot, and sometimes said flat out. And I was rebellious, so it was implied even more, until finally their true intentions and colors came out during my spiritual awakening, during which I quit drinking alcohol, lost 90 pounds, and stopped oversharing with people whose opinions I knew wouldn't help me. I started drawing boundaries, and this will only be catastrophic to those people who are trying to control you and have not yet realized what the true definition of love is. A loving, healthy family would show support encouragement, love, and compassion during a self-initiated change process for the better, but instead, I was accused of being possessed by a demon and very quickly ostracized out of my family and my home, also known as being dehumanized for my attempts at individuation and self-improvement. Now, this doesn't always mean that people who behave in this unconscious and sometimes inadvertently cruel manner are terrible people. They are, simply put, fearful people who are too comfortable within their own ignorance and conditioning to grow their consciousness on purpose as we all shift along with the planet. Until they wake up, which I am sure everyone will eventually. Does that mean I have to put myself back into a situation that is oppressive or toxic to me? Of course not. However, I can be loving, compassionate, and forgiving toward those individuals while I continue living my own life, which does not have to include them as closely as it once did, and does not require their input or approval to be lived by the only one who can live it, me. The same goes for you. While separating from your family can be difficult and painful, sometimes it is for the best, at least temporarily. The main takeaway here is that the unconditional, amazing love you're seeking does not have to come from the people whom you've always known. That love can come from a brand new community or tribe of like-minded people who actually take the time to get to know you, not just your labels. More importantly, that unconditional love for you must come from you first. Every situation is different, but it absolutely breaks my heart when a parent or parents can sit there and watch their child, no matter what age, struggle to come out to them and then blatantly judge them and say they disagree, rather than accepting that this is their child's life, period, a whole other human being's journey, and they have no right to dictate to another human being what is best for them, even if it is their child. It is so much wiser to ask questions and approach this topic with a sense of curiosity and openness, a willingness to understand rather than jumping to conclusions and allowing your own discomfort to drive your reactions. That's the ego talking and a fear-based response, so be aware of this and move through your resistant emotions without taking them out on your child, who has likely been struggling with trying to tell you this news for years and only wants to be accepted and supported. And that is the core of it right there. All any of us want is to feel loved and accepted for who we are, not for who our parents or anyone else thinks we should be or wants us to be, or even implies we must be in order to continue receiving their love. That conditional love is not divine, nor is it true love. It is merely a surface layer of what humans assume love is based on their ego mind, not based on their soul's interpretation or their heart, or their loving emotions. These behaviors come from a place of fear, remember? Chances are that if someone is completely against a decision you feel in your heart of hearts is right for you, they may have struggled in the past with something similar and been shut down for it, or they are simply fearful of it because they do not understand. This fear will also cause a hyper-reactive response if someone finds out another person identifies as LGBTQ. Either the person will freak out and shut down or lash out in anger and bigotry, or they will become especially nice and seemingly accepting in person before doing or saying hurtful things behind that person's back. At one point, I was having a conversation with someone, and it came out that an individual was trans, and my kids and I witnessed this person's entire physiology shifting as soon as that came out. The energy I picked up on during this exchange was fear energy, and I found it pretty disturbing that this individual later said that this information changes everything, which only further perpetuates the separation of a certain group of people from another group who thinks they are somehow superior. Even if you don't come right out and say anything, your energy and body language will speak way more loudly than your words ever will, and your actions afterwards will speak even more loudly about who you are as a person and how deep your judgment of others runs. If you have begun a practice of mindfulness and non-judgment, this will not be nearly as detrimental to you or to those you are dealing with, because you will soften your reactions and be more accepting of those who are different from you. Thank you so much for being here and for listening and or watching wherever you happen to be consuming this material. I hope that you're having a wonderful week so far, and I appreciate you. Love and light to you, my friends, especially through the tough topics, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste. Thank you so much for watching. No matter where you are on your journey, please take good care of yourself from within on all levels. If you'd like more guidance, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit www.innerworkcoaching.life for more content or to apply for one-on-one coaching. With unconditional love and light, I wish you an amazing week, and I hope to see you again for my next video. Namaste.